everyone, it's Julianne here for Honeybee Stamps and welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you how I created this pineapple themed card using some products from the new Hello Summer release. Today I'm going to be using the Pineapple Stamp and Coordinating Die set. I'm also going to be using the Pineapple Lattice Stencil set, and I am going to be doing some ink blending today using some Distress Oxide inks, as well as using some Nuvo Glimmer Paste in the color Moonstone. So let's get started. I'm going to be starting out my card today by first creating my background, and for that I'm going to be using the Pineapple Lattice Stencil set. I'm going to be using the top stencil that's included in this set, and I'm going to be temporarily adhering that down to my work surface over my background, which is made out of some Bristol Smooth watercolor paper. And I'm going to be temporarily adhering that down using some Pixie Spray. Pixie Spray is going to allow me to do both my ink blending as well as using that Nuvo Glimmer Paste, and I'm not going to have to worry about that stencil moving around. I really like to use Pixie Spray whenever I'm using a stencil like this that is really intricate. For my ink blending today, I'm going to be using Squeeze Lemonade, starting in the center of my stencil. Then I'm going to be coming in, adding in some mustard seed around the edges. And then finally, I'm going to be coming in with some carved pumpkin, going around the edges as well to add some depth to that ink blended area. Once I've added in each of those colors, I'm then going to be going back and forth between the three colors in order to blend everything together. So I'm just going to finish up that last bit of ink blending, and then I'm going to peel my stencil back in order to reveal that pineapple lattice pattern. Now you can definitely leave your background here, which is super pretty, but in order to step up my background for my card, I decided to place my stencil back down, and I'm going to be adding some glimmer paste on top. Now for this, I am going to be using some of that Nuvo Glimmer Paste in the color Moonstone. And this is going to add a really nice layer of translucent glitter on top of my ink blended background. I am going to be using one of my Nuvo Media spatulas, and I'm going to be scooping out some of that paste, and then I'm going to be adding a nice thin layer on top of my stencil. Now since I did use Distress Oxide inks for my ink blending, the glimmer paste is going to reactivate those inks as well as cause them to transfer onto my spatula. So I just want to be careful to not transfer any of that color into my container. Now once I have my entire background covered, I'm then going to peel back that stencil and I'm going to go wash it off using some warm water and some soap, because once that glimmer paste dries, it's going to be really impossible to get it off of there. And I'm just going to set my background off to the side to dry. While my background is drying, I'm going to start working on the rest of my card. I used the Pineapple stamp set to stamp 3 of the pineapple images using some Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I stamped all 3 of them onto some expressive blending cardstock, so that way I could do some Copic coloring today. I'm going to be doing some super easy coloring, and I'm going to just be coloring in one of the pineapples that I've stamped. I'm going to be starting with the leaves, and I'm going to be using YG05, G14, and G07. And I'm going to be starting with my lightest shade of YG05. And then I'm going to be coming in with G14 for my medium shade. And then finally, I'm going to come in with my darkest shade of G07, adding depth and dimension into my leaves, before going back over everything with YG05 to blend everything back together. Once I have those leaves all colored in, I'm then going to start working on the skin of the pineapple. Now after looking up some pictures of pineapples, I can definitely see that I needed to add in some brown shades into my coloring of the skin, but I'm definitely happy with how it looks overall. I'm going to be doing the same as I did with the leaves, where I'm going to be starting with my lightest shade, working my way out to my darkest, and then back down to my lightest. For the skin of my pineapple, I'm going to be starting with my lightest shade of Y02, and then I'm going to be coming in with my medium shades of Y13 and Y15 in order to build up the natural shadows that would be there. And then finally, to deepen those shadows, I'm going to then be coming in with my darkest shade of Y17. And then again, in order to blend all of those colors together, I'm going to be working my way back down to my lightest shade of Y02. Once I have all of my coloring done, I'm going to be using the coordinating dies to cut out each of my pineapples, and then I'm going to start working on my sentiments for my card. And for that, I'm going to be using 2 of the sentiment stamps that are included in the Pineapple stamp set. And I'm going to be stamping both of those sentiments onto some black cardstock using some Versamark ink. And once I have both of those stamped out, I'm then going to be adding some Gina fine white embossing powder, and I'm going to be embossing both of those using my heat tool. Once I have both of my sentiments embossed, I'm going to be using the coordinating dies as well to cut both of those out. The next step is I'm going to start working on assembling my card, and to start out, I trimmed down my ink blended background to 4 by 5 1/4. That way I could adhere it to a black piece of cardstock that I trimmed down to A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That way when I adhere my background panel, I'm going to have a really nice border all the way around. I am going to be adhering my background panel down using some foam adhesive in order to give my card that little bit of added dimension. And once I have that all adhered, I'm then going to start working on adhering all of my other elements. I'm going to be adhering both of my sentiments down to my background using some liquid adhesive, as well as I'm going to be adhering both of those non-colored pineapple images that I stamped earlier. Next, to make sure that the pineapple that I colored in stands out from the other 2, I'm going to be adhering it in the center of the 2 pineapple images that I didn't color in, and I'm going to be adhering that using some more foam adhesive to add even more dimension to my card. Finally, to finish off my pineapple-inspired card, I am going to be scattering some boho confetti mix from Honeybee stamps throughout my background, and I'm going to be adhering them all down using the precision tip glue that Honeybee Stamps now offers. And once I have those last couple confetti sequins adhered, that's going to complete my card for today. I want to thank you all so much for stopping by and spending some time with me. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe for even more card making ideas. If you are interested in any of the supplies I used today, they will all be listed and linked down below in the description box. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day and happy crafting!